Hi lovely people, I hope you are doing good today and you are enjoying the conference so far. I'm going to talk today and right now, and probably I'm the last talk, so I hope you still have some energy to listen to me, and I will try to keep it short. So what will be the topic? As you can see, it will be the headless e-commerce and a sneak peek into the future using the Vuejs and nuxt.js, and also a cool Vue technology Vue Storefront. And why it's the headless, I will explain in a minute. But it will be using the headless CMS and also an e-commerce platform. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about me. So who I am? I'm currently taking care of the developer relations at Storyblok, and I'm a huge fan of the Storyblok even before as I joined the Storyblok last year. Before that, I still consider myself to be a front-end knight, so I do a lot of front-end stuff, doing a lot of CSS, and I fell in love with Nuxt.js and Vue.js, and I should probably say like I'm more the Nuxt developer as a Vue developer, as I really worked with Nuxt.js after 3 weeks finding out about the Vue.js, and then mostly I worked only with Nuxt.js. Anyway, I also worked as a design ops was responsible for the communication between the different platforms, and that's why I love to talk with other people and connect people as a speaker or community believer. But as I'm not official and Nuxt.js ambassador, I'm always advocating for Nuxt and the Vue.js. Even I am working also with different technologies and writing different tutorials. But that was, I think, enough about me. So let's jump directly to the 3 slides I have before we will do a real live coding. First of all, it just set up some base for us. So I love to talk about the monolithic versus decoupled, which is like something that is really popular, especially like being decoupled. So it's came with decoupling the front end and the back end from the old monolithic CMSs, but this is not everything. It's like this is already like the top like of the iceberg there, but at the end of the day, we are talking about the atomic design. So we are putting small into small pieces, even we are giving and delegating more and more tasks to our different services, software as a services, but not only that, it's like Tailwind. We believe that Tailwind is doing the great job, and that's why we are using the Tailwind. And this is also about the e-commerce platforms who are focusing on the e-commerce. There are like platforms who are focusing on the commenting, liking, and all the other social stuff. And we are then integrating all those platforms together. And why we are doing this is because with the decoupling we can focus on the job, on what everybody should do. Like, don't do everything. If you do everything, usually the result is not so good enough if you delegate those competencies to right people or right softwares. So with the delegating or decoupling, you will usually get a better developer experience and also the user experience, as those are the first-class citizens for these products. And it doesn't seem like that always, but you will lower your cost because usually you just need to integrate some parts instead of taking care of them and taking like time to take care of everything, like security updates. It's a lot of not only money but also your time. And believe me, I love to spend my time more with my family than as updating old monolithic CMS. So. At least and not last, the modularity. You can like really quickly like reuse the parts in different like projects, etc. And this brings me to one more topic which I love to talk about, as it is evolution of CMS. You probably heard already on the conference or the past year a lot about the Nuxt content, which is a beautiful package or beautiful MD Git-based CMS for the Nuxt projects, and I would love to use this as a developer, but it's like not something I would give to use my mom or like any non-technical person, because it's kind of difficult to use it. For those people, they don't understand. I mean, like the MEMS word is somehow hard to use for them. How they should take care of the content uses the markdowns, and this is why I think it's great that we have different levels or tiers of the CMSs, and the evolution of CMSs is like what make a CMS a CMS. In my opinion, it's like all the non-technical or non-dev features also who are in the focus of every CMS at the end of the day. It's like counting, altering, scheduling the content, creating the pipeline, but also how we are going to translate, we are going to integrate the different strategies for the internationalization and modularity. And not least, Very important part is the preview and real-time editing. As far as I love all the editing in the Git, I still love to see how it will look like at the end. And to preview something how it will look like, it's very important for the final decision of the content also. So real-time editing and the preview is something which, my opinion, any like enterprise CMS should have at the end, that if they want to deliver the best possible content, because at the end, then the content editors can focus on the content and they can do and preview what they are creating. And with that came to the topic which is today, and that's the why a headless e-commerce. So exactly, the headless e-commerce is something which will merge together those parts. So those e-commerce platforms which are also reusable as the headless CMSs or our front-end framework like Vue Storefront. And we can reuse those functions. We can reuse those principles on many e-shops. We don't have to start always from this point zero. We can delegate the tasks. So the responsible, like for the warehouse, how many, the discounts, all that kind of part go to the e-commerce. But what about the non-e-commerce stuff? Because the good e-shop should have also non-e-commerce, where you like write the articles and stories how the product is used, or how the product should be used. What should you do if your warranty come, or something better happened, where you should contact? What happens with all that stuff, which is still a big part of your eShop. And this is not something that e-commerce is worth specialized in. And that is where in the play came the headless CMSs like Storyblok, for example. And with that all, like the delegation, you get the better performance and security, and you as a front-end developer or a developer in general, you don't have to focus on the implementation and logic of the payment walls and all the databases, the warehouses, because you have e-commerce for that. For the same thing, you should have for the content, you should have the headless part, the Storyblok, for example, in this case. And then, of course, to make your job even easier, you can use a Nuxt with Vue Storefront to integrate those parts together and focus on really delivering the best user experience and user journey for your customers. So that's it. That was like the 3 slides I was talking about, and let's now jump a little bit to the technology. So as I talked about already, the technology stack today is the Nuxt.js, Vue Storefront, Storyblok, and the Commercetools. And you could like replace also this part, but let's stick to this, as they are like really working great together, and they kind of love the Vue.js ecosystem there. So what I'm going to do, we are going to do a little bit coding time. It will be create a Storyblok space, preview the Commercetools, what we are expecting, then create a Vue Storefront project, and connect the Storyblok with the Vue Storefront. So as I said, we are going to create a Vue Storefront project. Then we are going to also connect the Storyblok with the Vue Storefront and also with the Commercetool, of course. And I just some components to show how it looks like the work of the developer in this case. So doing a little bit coding. So let's jump to the code. So first of all, we should create a Storyblok space. So let's jump to the Storyblok website and going for login. So you will end basically an overview of your projects, and you can create a new project, create a new space, and I can call it like temp. You would go for demo and just go play with it. I just want to show you how fast is it something to create. So now I have basically an empty project already created. I closed the first steps guide, and now you can see basically the same the basic stuff. At the moment you can see that we have one story which should represent the homepage, and if I click here there is some visual editor which is not configured, so we don't see any visual editor at the moment. But on the right side we see our content, right hand side we see where the editing will happen. And we do the editing. We can already like use it, we can like add new features, we can save it, we can work with that. Then also in the Storyblok, it's component based. So we have a components, and you can create a lot of new components. And after creation of the components, you can start using it without to have any front end. You can basically set up your architecture without having the front end for you. So, okay, great. That was the first part. So I show you that basically we created the Storyblok space. Then we should create something like in preview, like in Commercetools. So what we will have in Commercetools. To keep it simple, I created a trial demo of using the trial of the Commercetool. I just created my account, created a sample shop, which is very easy. And then as you can see here, I just added there 4 products. All 4 products are at the moment published. There was published like a few days ago. There are some product keys, and if I click here, there's a picture, which I should see here. And then there's a little description. And we will show them later in the Storyblok and also in our front end. So then we have some settings, of course, which you should understand, and this is the documentation of the Vue Storefront, where you will basically create a Vue Storefront integration and the integration with the Storyblok here. As you can see here, I created the product category integration for Storyblok, and also I just played with different setups and create something with Lucas, one of the creators or like maintainers of this Vue Storefront. So great. So this is our Vue Storefront. So what should be next? The next is like create a Vue Storefront project. This is quite easy, as according to the documentation, you just install globally Vue Storefront, and then you go for Vue Storefront init as a sample project. So if I would go for iTerm, which I have here on the side, then you would go basically Vue Storefront init and the name of your project. And you will create a project, simple project with Commercetools. After hitting enter, you will end in the code, very similar like this. So I did here a little changes, but all you see at the moment, after you do installing your packages using the yarn or npm, and after then running the yarn dev, your project will start. So it takes a little bit time, but then we can open the localhost and basically see a demo page, which at the moment will contain a dummy data. Our dummy data are not bad. It's a lower zoom field that look good, and it should work. It's really taking a little bit more time because probably the recording. So let's stop. So great. After paused and now we just compile the project, you can see that we have a website. But all this website, what has this website is at the moment is demo data. So nothing special here. I can also in here show you it here in the homepage that you should understand that this is basically a data which is coming from directly from the code. So this is the homepage at the moment. As you can see here, this is like everything is written directly in the code. Okay, let's jump a little bit into the future and see how this would look like and translate it to the real like integration with Storyblok and also with Vue Storefront. So what do we need to do? We would like to create these components in the Storyblok and make them usable. So first of all, you can see that I am working with localhost, and I would like to have a working localhost project. So here in this my Vue Storefront Commercetools demo project, I edited my preview location to localhost 3000. I could add a multiple preview URLs if I would have a deployment in the Vercel or in the Netlify or on your own server. But at the moment I'm like a developer and just working on localhost, so I need only a localhost. Then also I will be using the API keys for in a little moment. But if now I'm going to back to content and open the home, you will see that I see basically my localhost in the visual preview. So it's great. Still, it's not connected because on the right side, I see my default components created by creation of the new project in Storyblok. So I didn't do really did the connection, but I can already check how it looks like demo data, and I can like a little bit pray if it's responsible. I could even go for like preview and could send this localhost to somebody if he has the access to my localhost, of course. So this would be where come handy the Vercel deployment or the Netlify. But at the end, still, this is not where we are heading. So what we need to do, the first thing we need to do is connect the Vue Storefront with the Storyblok. So let's connect this Vue Storefront with the Storyblok, which is in code done using a package called nuxt.js in this case. And it's a module which I installed, and then I just configure it. So I showed you the preview token from the Storyblok. Here is the preview token, and this is all I need to get my content. So setup. And what I am doing right now is I created and duplicated the homepage, and I created a connected homepage, so connected to the Storyblok, where I'm loading my data. So I'm creating a dummy data from the Storyblok, then using install Storyblok branch, I'm also like for mounting, registering the input, publish, and change events that I can see the real-time preview. So if I will change something, or publish something, then I see an update of the nuxt. But not only then, also if I input, so if I hit a key on this in one of the fields in Storyblok, there will be like live update. You will see in a moment. Then asynchronically, I am loading the data, and I'm going to load data this time statically only for the connected home. I'm not going for a dynamic route, which would be very similar to this. Basically, where I will like according to the path in my URL, I would find out like which content source Storyblok I want to load. And then of course, I'm just returning the data. So basically it will contain the story. And the story, as you can see here, I created something like storefront page. And then I know that what kind of page is it. So that's the exit. And then I'm just sending all the data through the block prop basically down to waterfall. So what's happened here? So what is the SF page does? So I have here also the components from the CMS in the folder called CMS. And here I have a storefront page, which is very simple code at the end. It's a block which I am expecting to get. And then this block contains a list of all my components on the website. I will show you in a second. And here you can see that I'm basically using a dynamic component from the Vue.js and looping from all my components in the JSON I will get, and then rendering the right components. And the right components are basically the banner grid, call to action, carousel, heading, hero, or the product slider. And here the last thing you should see is the v-editable block, because if you are using a draft preview and you have a draft token, then we are sending a special identification to your JSON adding, and then we are able basically edit or register a click events for your component. So what exactly does this? Okay, I told a lot about the code. I show you a lot of the code. So let's jump back to the Storyblok. So let's go back and show the connected home. So how does it look like the connected home? As you can see, it's very similar. But on the right side, I already used my component. And the first thing I should show you is probably the JSON. So what you are getting from the Storyblok. From Storyblok, you would get basically a story which contains a content in this case, and there is a body, which is an array of a component. So we could see that also here that I'm looping in the SV page through the block.body, and then I'm rendering different components. And each component is an object. So in this case, as you can see, I have a first component which is called SF Hero or Storefront Hero in my case. And then I'm using the component. I know that I want to render a component. So here I'm saying, okay, this is SF Hero. So you should render a SF Hero. So this is this component, SF Hero, and this is registered using the plugin. So here I register all my components at this moment. You can do it also like a little bit better. This is like all the way very nice to show just, hey, I register all my content or CMS components from Storyblok. So now here I am going to use basically a store. I basically just do a little, no big magic. So one more time, I'm using the v-editable to make editable everything. Then I'm loading from Vue Storefront UI the SF Hero component, which I'm going to use. And then I'm just going to fill it with the data I'm getting. And here I'm even using some conditional rendering, like if the text should be on the left side or right side, like according to the image. So here you could see that I'm creating a storefront hero and then looping through the storefront hero items to create a slider of the hero. Here is nothing from eCommerce. So this is something what should live in the headless CMS or in your CMS, in this case, Storyblok. So what's happening here exactly? You can see now here in Storyblok that I can click anywhere. And on the right hand side, I will open this slide. So now I can change, for example, the color for some dress to something like this is cool. What do you think? But of course, the slide changed, so I should click here, and you see that this is cool. What do you think? And this is basically changing as I am doing the changes. I don't have to save it. I can go back. Just reset it, and also I could go and duplicate and create a 4 slide. And now if I would go and save, even this is a 4 slider, so 3, and then there should be forward slide, which is not happening at the moment. So there's a little bug, sometimes happen, but you see there is like 4 dots. So this is what I created, just the slider. So it's a little bit tricky, maybe not so good visible. So let's jump here. I just click here. This is what does the V editable that we can identify and click here on the right side. And we can change also like this whole banner grid. Like I created banner grid and I can change the version, for example, to 2 and the layout was changed. Or I can go and say like, okay, this Vue Storefront decided to use the slots. So I have here the slot A. And this first one is on slot A, but let's like move it to the B, and then the B, let's move to the slot A, and then we change basically the order and the positions of these banners. And we can do a lot of stuff like this. Like we can go and like move the hero on the top because of the implementation. I'm not hitting the save, so I'm not polluting the history. Even I click a lot of time save, but still I'm just playing with it. I can preview it. And my content editors are like very happy, like, okay, we can create a new websites, pretty fast with this, and we can see what we are getting. So what I did is like creating the sample localhost website, as you could see, like the demo from the Vue Storefront. So I have here also the carousel, which is in this case is just dummy content used. I just move it there. So here you could see like the carousel, just get the data from here. And what I would like to do now very fast is also I have still a little bit time is change the call to action. So here the call to action is on the bottom, which is a subscribe and newsletter, and we can change it. So we getting the blog. So how it look like the editing of this. So I can go back to the newsletter, to components, go to Storefront folder I created, and here I have a SF call to action, which have nothing. So let's add here a title. And I could choose the title should be like a different content types. And if I would like to have an integration with the commerce tool, so pick a product or category, I could go for plugin. And here I would choose a Storyblok commerce tools plugin in this case. But I want to go for on a text. It will be a text, let's keep it empty and just add basically this. If I would go for like multiple of that, I can go for description also and add description and make it like a text area or even a rich text editor, Boolean, datetime, or whatever you need. So basically you can create a multiple parts. And then you can create also something special, which I'll show you in a second. But it's like here on the Storyblok Storefront page, which is body. This is a special type block where I decided like which components can you use on the Storefront page. So I decided hero, banner grid, carousel, heading, call to action, product slider. And this is the restriction for the content editors, but also this make possible that you know what you will be getting and what is possible to create. This is great. And you have more options, but don't talk about that. Let's talk about the code. So I created and added basically a description. Here in the call to action, I created a title and description. So I can go here and I can go to content here in the call to action, and I have a title. So let's copy paste the subscribe to newsletter, and let's have this as a description, and let's save it. But still, I have to do a change in code. So let's open the Storefront call to action. And here you can see that I have a title and description. And as I already have here a block, all I need to do is basically here, change this to block title. And then the description, I need to change also to block description, and I can hit save. So I just basically implemented 2 additional properties there. And now if I do to be sure a reload and scroll down, I can click here, and now it should work, and it works. This is really nice, and this is a really nice approach how you can like edit your content. Your content editors will be super happy. They can copy paste it also through the pages. So great. But the last part, we still didn't cover the e-commerce part. So what about the e-commerce part? As you can see here, I have here those 3 components, and those 3 components, as I already said, are loaded from the Commercetools. So how they are loaded? So if I click here, I have here a test description which is not shown, but here I have a Commercetool product, which I call this field this way. And then I can select here a different product. So I can remove the products, I can hit it. And to also like trigger the request from the Commercetools, I have to save and reload. Just this is the still thing that we are working on with the Vue Storefront on, that we will get also the real-time editing on this part, because we are requesting the content of these components from the e-commerce. And here, for example, you could like override the description of the product if you want to have it nice written, but you should always like request also the product from the e-commerce, because there are where they leave the prices, the up-to-date prices and all the other stuff, like how many items do you have in your warehouse. So okay, how is done this? So this is basically a plugin which has some setup API client that I already show you in here in the settings, in developer settings of the Commercetools. So the product category only, there's a client API. And here I just set up it. I limited that I can only load maximum at 4 products. And then there's like some setup. You can read about it in the documentation, but still what you get is basically, in this case, is ID of my product. We are loading some other stuff, but at the end, you see that we are loading items, and these items have IDs. So we should use this ID to load the data and to show the latest data in the front or storefront. So let's head back and go to SF product slider, which is basically a slider of the products, and we are going to load here. So using the storefront or Vue Storefront is super easy. You basically register your functions, use product and product getters from the Vue Storefront Commercetools. And then you load the storefront carousel and storefront product card from your storefront UI. And then using the composition API, I just set up the setup function, which expect a block where I have my IDs of the products from the Storyblok. Then I'm going to create asynchronously a list. So basically like, hey, loop through the IDs, get me all the products I'm looking for and push them into the list. And then return the list and also trigger this on the mount. So if the product is, if the component is mounted. I still working on that to do it like on like a change or something like that. But whatever. You can see the code is pretty simple and straightforward. You could like even get here, like if you would like to have something like H2 and add that block description I show you there. So I could go for block description as we have there a description, save it. And now if I do a reload, you see my test description. So this is a text, and this text is combined with the e-commerce platform. And I'm still having 2 more minutes. So you could like create a different combination of your non-e-commerce stuff and your commerce stuff. And together you can also then create pages, categories, filters, etc. And load the data from 2 different sources of truth, where one is specialized for non-e-commerce and one for the e-commerce. Great. And the last part I should mention is also the configuration of the e-commerce in the storefront, which is sometimes a little bit hacky, but you basically define your scopes. You also define your end URI, where you're going to authenticate, and some client IDs and client secrets, and then the storefront works. Go there, read the documentation. It's great. It's on the top of the Nuxt, so everything you know about Nuxt.js, it's working, and it's great. I really like it. So that was the coding part. And the last thing is where to start. So I definitely recommend to start on the storyblok.com/tc/Nuxt.js, where we have like whole hub about tons of topic about the Nuxt.js, basically from the scratch to like going pro. And there's like also Alex from the Vuedos wrote for us a very nice series of articles how to create a Vuedos with the Storyblok. Really encouraging to read it. Then there's Vue Storefront Storyblok documentation, or Vue Storefront documentation in general. You don't have to use all the time Storyblok. It's really great. Go there. It's the best. It's really nice what I saw there, and it's developing pretty fast. So they are creating new stuff every day. And then you go also for check out the e-commerce plugins we are currently supporting, which you can find the Storyblok here on this URL on Storyblok docs guide integration e-commerce. Or I mean, like, if it's too much and you will like lose it, go and find the Storyblok community. We are on the Discord. You can like use this invitation link, and you can ask me directly there, and you can ask me also on the Twitter, or go directly on the Storyblok. So go for one of those. We'll be happy to answer any DMs on the Twitter. And the last thing is, if you wonder how you do this with the Next.js, yes, Next.js, I'm talking on Vue conference about the Next.js, but go and rewatch the Tuesday talk from Liz Linhart, who did very similar stuff with the Next Commerce. Really encouraging you. And you should keep in mind, like, how does the different stuff looking in different technology. So thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. And as I am the last talk, at least I was in the time of recording this, enjoy your weekend. I hope you had a very nice conference time, and see you in the future. See ya.